Sorry for being a bit late to the party, as I took some time for R&R for me and the family and then ended up needing more time for other items, but I'm back and posting my thoughts and impressions on the new Division 2 Countdown game mode and expertise system we are now testing in the PTS Phase 1. My name is Lieutenant Buzz Lightbeer, and it has been forever since I've posted anything Division related, but this was really down to the fact that we had no new content or anything to really report on. However, with the PTS, we now have some new items to discuss, and I've got quite a bit to say about everything I've just experienced. But before we hop into today's video, if you aren't yet a sub, please take just a moment to smash that big, beautiful subscribe button, and don't forget to ring the bell to receive all my future upload alerts. Let's go. You know how I roll when it comes down to these reviews, and although I always strive to keep it professional, I don't hold back and I tend to just be brutally honest. So, Countdown. Yeah. So let's first start off with some of the positives. First being that, hey man, the Division is back, baby, albeit in a very limited capacity, slowly rolling out content, but hey, at least it's back. I only wish that Ubisoft would support this franchise the way it deserves, instead of just writing it off and then bringing it back from the dead and then not even mentioning the damn franchise in its latest earnings report. Imagine what this universe could have been if it were given the Destiny treatment with a dedicated team and a budget to back it up. The way I look at it is this: is the gaming world better or worse off with the Division in the fold? And for me, I'm going to say it's better. Could it be better supported and developed? Yeah, for sure. But at least it has made a return rather than just being another casualty of Ubisoft's haphazard approach to game development. So on to Countdown. And right out of the gate, I've got to applaud the art and level design teams here. They've always nailed it, and Countdown is no exception. The nuclear facility looks war-torn, and the overall visuals of the entire level are on point. Now, I've complimented this side of the studio in the past, and they always seem to make everything just look fantastic. But unfortunately for me, this is kind of where Countdown loses all of its shine and uniqueness, and this is what we need to discuss next. Now, I'm sure you know the basic premise of how this mode works. Up to 8 players drop into the level. You need to complete 2 of 3 random objectives while taking on a random faction, which unlocks the final objective. Now, once that is completed, you can fight your way to extraction and get the hell out. Now, this is quite a simplified explanation, but that's the basics to it. But when you start to look at the individual mechanics and objectives, it really starts to show just how much depth Countdown is truly lacking. Now, I know that much of this can or will be changed in the future, as this is just a PTS, but I'm basing my thoughts off of the first impressions I have of this mode, and after about 5 to 6 hours of really getting to know the ins and outs of the entire level design. First off, the first thing I want to discuss are these objectives, and really, this all feels like the team just took the summit, squashed it down to a single flat level, and changed the outside structures to match the setting. We've seen these same objectives in the Summit, which, by the way, I'm talking about the Summit, never really panned out to what it was hyped up to be. Anyways, protect the VIP, hack the terminals, shade crate takeovers. We've seen this all a million times before in the Summit. Yes, it is now in a much more fleshed out and stunning environment, but these are identical to what we've already seen. Overall, it feels like Summit version 2.0, and for me, that is not a good thing. Enemy types widely vary and are random at round start, and this too poses a major problem. You see, Countdown is time-based, and some of the factions, like the Cleaners, are quite aggressive and rush your positions, making it easier to kill them all and complete the tasks. Other factions, like the Black Tusk, immediately take cover and even just start running away from your area, forcing you to constantly chase them down from behind. There is a definite and obvious imbalance between the factions, their offensive damage output, and their aggressive characteristics. Now, this becomes even more obvious when, for example, you're forced to take over an objective that is, say, right next to a disrupt terminal, making your skills go offline permanently. You have to stay in this very limited zone with no ability to heal or use your skills while just getting bombarded by long-range explosive spam from the Black Tusk. But if the faction is the outcast, that same task becomes much easier due to the changes in long-range damage attacks. I'd also like to mention another item that really just bugs the hell out of me, and it's the way that Countdown does everything it can to hamper and limit your agent's abilities. You are constantly disrupted, taking your skills offline while whatever enemy type you are fighting gets to use their skills non-stop. Grenade and drone spam are still quite prevalent, and now we're forced to contend with round-starting roadblocks to our damage output. Things like significantly less damage output at short or long range, or enemies being granted 100% hazard protection are just ridiculous. I know that these effects can be reversed if you find and deactivate the shade terminals, but this is a lazy mechanic to artificially hold us back. Why is this constantly being reintroduced back into the game each and every time we get something new? Why can't I just start off the round being able to use my ability straight up, or have all my damage output available to me no matter if I'm at close or long range? Or how about this other one that doubles an agent's skill cooldowns? Why is any of this needed? And these terminals are always located directly next to a hunter spawn location. I mean, if anything, we should be able to start off with our baseline damage and skill abilities intact, and then, and only if we engage with the hunters outside and activate the shade terminals, should our abilities be increased. Summit gave us the ability to toggle and choose directives. Why can't Countdown? Moving on, and we need to talk next about how this new game mode completely craps on solo players. Now, I've been fortunate enough to be able to finish it solo, but even with a well-tuned build, it's not easy to do. Many of the objectives are not solo friendly, like say the VIP encounter, which takes far too long to complete, and to be honest, it's a bit confusing. I mean, do I chase down and kill all the enemies, or do I just stand here and protect this guy who wants to hide under the stairs? Also, the Shade Crate encounter is basically a write-off for solo players, because once you've taken the first zone and move around the room over to the second, the enemies are already taking the first one back. And then, the level design puts a massive structure in the middle of the chamber, so you can't just sit on one objective and snipe the enemies on the other. The normal encounters are really pretty easy, and you can complete them with no issues. I mean, I mowed through the regular NPCs with frightening regularity. Time to kill was pretty good for the hunters. If I wasn't artificially hampered by a pre-round negative effect, I could kill them fairly quickly, and they could do the same to me. Some of the final objectives take way too long, and you can easily run out of time before finishing them up and moving up to extraction. And speaking of extraction, holy shit! Between the massive horde of Black Tusk NPCs, the 4 additional hunters, all the grenade spam and disrupts, it really comes down to a bit of skill and a ton of luck to make it to the zone to fire the flare. Now, I know this mode was advertised as co-op mode, but there are tons of solo players out there that will never ever attempt this or finish this new mode because it is not properly tuned or even designed to cater to them. So overall, even though I had my expectations set fairly low, I am personally not even close to being satisfied with Countdown. Could it be something better in the future? Yeah, I guess it could. But so was Summit once it got tied to targeted loot and directive selection. Still, even with those changes, Summit, and if it continues on this path, Countdown will quickly become a forgotten element of the game, much like a DARPA or the Pentagon. Beautiful. Interesting environment, but nothing that screams play me or replayability. Now, I did also want to mention that Countdown is currently raining down loot and does have targeted loot enabled, so, you know, it's got that going for it. Still, really below average attempt at a new mode, and despite the new setting, feels and plays exactly like Summit. The final piece of the PTS is this new expertise system, and I wanted to briefly touch on this as well. Again, the basics here are the more you use specific gear or weapons, they will reach a level of expertise, at which time you can upgrade their base stats. Like for a specific weapon, it will give that specific weapon plus 1% more damage. Anyways, this entire system feels tacked on and, in my opinion, completely not needed in the game. What are we leveling up this gear to do? Progression for power leveling is all fine and dandy, but it needs an end goal game. Destiny does this well, and I remember using it in Borderlands 2. You could power level your gear and weapons and then change the difficulty of the world around you to match your character's strength, but here in the Division 2, I don't see why any of this is needed. We are already crushing the raids. We're crushing legendary difficulty missions and blasting our way through Countdown. And if we start tacking on extra armor, skill power, or weapon damage, we're just going to be able to crush that content, the same old content, even faster. Now, it all sounds kind of cool, but it's going to get old very quickly. Look, I like feeling powerful, and I like progression, but with no finish line, what are we working towards? Now, maybe I've missed some nugget of information about a new difficulty setting, new extra hard content, or something like that. And if I have, please let me know and sound off in the comment section below. Don't forget to smash that sub button and ring the bell to receive all my future upload alerts. If you could rate and or share this video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to find and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and over on my community Discord server. All my links in the video description and pinned comment below. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, signing off.